The President. Questions. Question 1. Mr. Benson LUK. President. In May last year, the Director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office of the State Council proposed that Hong Kong should establish the concept of tourism is everywhere in Hong Kong, and in November of the same year, he advised that Hong Kong's shoreline tourism resources should be put to good use. In this connection, would the government inform this council, 1. Whether, according to the government's estimation, the Round the Island Trail developed on Hong Kong Island can be completed in 2031 as scheduled, how the government will study with the MTRC the enhancements of the design of the ventilation building of the Airport Railway Extended Overrun Tunnel project, so as to minimize the impacts on the waterfront promenade on Hong Kong Island and the Central Harbourfront event space, as well as the relevant design proposal and construction schedule. 2. Given that a number of sections of the waterfront promenade in Kowloon are not connected, including the Yau Ma Tei Public Cargo Working Area, the Green Island Cement Pier, the Fishtail Rock in Hoi Shun Park, and the waterfront gas facility of Grand Waterfront, etc., whether the authorities have plans to connect the entire shoreline of Kowloon in different modes. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. And 3. Whether it has formulated mega event programs for the proposed waterfront promenades and those under construction, and of the measures in place to facilitate the industry to set up long-term catering premises as such promenades. Secretary for Development. President. Hong Kong possesses abundant coastal resources, and Victoria Harbour and the harbourfront are world famous. In consultation with the Transport and Logistics Bureau and the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau, the reply to various parts of the question is as follows. 1. Regarding the construction of a 60-kilometer-long Round the Island Trail on the Hong Kong Island, 85% has been connected thus far. It is estimated that 90% will be connected by the end of 2027. The remaining 10% with a length of about 6 kilometers and mainly including sections such as Shao Ki Wan to Hang Fa Chun and Brick Hill to Mills and Chung Path, involves works that require relatively more technical considerations and are more complicated, such as slope improvements, which we will strive to substantially complete by the end of 2031. The Airport Railway Extended Overrun Tunnel project refers to a proposal to construct a tunnel of around 500 meters long beneath Long Wall Road to the east of the Hong Kong station for trains to turn back, so as to enhance the train carrying capacities and operation efficiency of the existing railway lines. Facilities under the project will mostly be constructed underground, while the ventilation cum emergency access building will be constructed above ground, with a site area of about 1,200 square meters. The government and the MTRCL are proactively optimizing the project, including the overall design of the concerned facilities, with a view to minimizing the footprints and height of the ventilation cum emergency access building, and also minimizing the works area needed during construction. The target is to ensure that the permanent and temporary facilities of the project would not, as far as practicable, occupy the Central Harbourfront Event Space, or CHES, site area of which is about 36,600 meters square, or to minimize the overlapping area between the concerned project and the CHES. The government and the MTRCL will report the latest progress and the construction timetable of the project to the stakeholders in the second half of the year. 2. For the Victoria Harbourfront in Kowloon from Changsha Wan to Lei Yu Mun, the developable waterfront has a length of about 21 kilometers, which excludes the 6-kilometer-long waterfront areas currently occupied by existing facilities. After years of efforts by the government and various sectors, about 65% of the harbourfront has been connected at present, including Tai Kwok Choi, the West Kowloon Cultural District, Chim Sa Choi, Cha Kuo Leng, and so on. By the end of 2028, with the addition of sections along the harbourfront in Kai Tak, as well as the former Hong Kong Freight Yard Pier site, nearly 80% will be connected. The remaining 20% of the waterfront, such as Yau Tong Bay Comprehensive Development Area and some other harbourfront sections in Kai Tak, will be developed along with private development projects at the respective locations. We will maintain our efforts regarding the 6-kilometer waterfront areas currently occupied by existing facilities. Subject to technical feasibility, we will improve harbourfront connectivity through other means. For example, we are constructing a pedestrian walkway along the inland boundary of the new Yau Ma Tei Public Cargo Working Area to link up the WKCD and the Tai Kwok Choi harbourfront. Upon completion next year, the pedestrian walkway will be opened to the public. As for the harbourfront connectivity of other locations, we will commence the study on East Kowloon Harbourfront Trail in the near future, riding on the opportunities brought about by the newly amended Protection of the Harbour Ordinance, Cap 531, and exploring to further connect harbourfront sections in Hong Kong and To Kwa Wan that are not yet accessible, including those locations mentioned in the question raised by Mr. Benson LUK. Besides, the Urban Renewal Authority has initiated the To Kwa Wan Harbourfront Study, which is a holistic planning covering the hinterland of To Kwa Wan, waterfront spaces, and the adjacent water body, in order to explore improving the connectivity between the hinterland and the harbourfront, in addition to utilizing harbourfront resources. We will coordinate and join forces with the URA on these fronts. Part 3 of the question. Many venues within the Victoria Harbourfront are suitable for hosting mega events and activities of various types. For instance, the CHES has been a venue frequently used for hosting a considerable number of signature events over the years. The WKCD has more than 20 indoor and outdoor venues, attracting different types of large-scale events. The Tsim Sha Tsui Promenade and the Avenue of Stars are also venues where leisure activities are frequently held, such as music, film, and arts and cultural events. The 15th National Games will be held in November this year, of which a number of competition events will take place in Hong Kong. Amongst them, the triathlon event will be staged at the Central Harbourfront and Victoria Harbour, which would allow spectators to watch the event while experiencing the natural beauty and vibrancy of Victoria Harbour at the same time. Regarding food and beverages facilities at the harbourfront, we set up smart specialty vending facilities at the harbourfront in Wan Chai, Kwun Tong, and Chua Kuo Ling last year, offering light snacks, drinks, and kajaks. We are recently partnering with West K Enterprise Limited to invite interested operators, through expression of interest, to set up refreshment stalls at 4 harbourfront locations, with relatively more frequent flow of visitors in Central, Wan Chai, North Point, and Tsim Sha Tsui within this year. Furthermore, we will revitalize the former Hong Kong Freight Yard pier site into a special event space and open it for public use in the first quarter of next year. We have already released the preliminary land use proposal on the long-term development of the aforesaid pier site and the sites around Hong Kong Station. Besides, we are also carrying out a study on the use of the topside development of the Exhibition Centre Station in Wan Chai North. Both projects will involve introducing food and beverages, retail and entertainment facilities of sizable scale at the harbourfront, and continue to make good use of harbourfront resources to create new highlights for Hong Kong. Thank you, President. Mr. Benson LUK. President, I thank the Secretary for her reply. Last year, around the same time, I submitted a written question to the government concerning the use of the CHES and the ventilation building of the NTRCL. Now, this reply is an extension of last year's reply. This time around, the government said that it will not affect the usage of the CHES, and even so, the impact would be minimum. Now, I hope that the government can live up to its promise and submit a proposal by the end of next year. Now, to revitalize the tourism vitality along the shoreline, we need economic activities. So besides light refreshments and food and beverages, there are calls for learning from our competitor, Singapore. There should be water-friendly facilities along the shorelines. So will the government set aside small parcels of land and invite food and beverage operators to come in and revitalize the tourism potential? Secretary, on food and beverages, as mentioned in my main reply, we have selected 4 sites at Central, Wan Chai, North Point, and Tsim Sha Tsui for that purpose. It is a hope that there would be at least 2 food and beverage stalls at each location. Our goal is to collaborate with the West K Enterprise Limited to get things going in a short period of time. And we will invite the expression of interest later this year. And hopefully these facilities will appear later this year. Our shoreline is very long. We hope that at each session there will be different characteristics. For example, when there are already regular food and beverage establishments, we will introduce something new. Now for the 4 sites I have mentioned, there will be food and beverage operations. Now for example, the Eastern Boardwalk at North Point, we have reserved a space for a food and beverage establishment. With the full commissioning of the boardwalk, that facility will start operating. We will identify more opportunities along the way. Mr. Tommy Cheung. Thank you, President. Last century, as the context of the Urban Council and the Eastern District Council, I've been suggesting the idea of using the promenade for food and beverage purposes. Now, I'm pleased to see that in today's reply, the government has promised to set a timetable for that. Now, you are partnering with West K Enterprise Limited to conduct a study. I think that's great. But in the long run, when the model is proven to be effective, we should allow more individual entrepreneurs to join the fray. Now we have food trucks, but in upfront investments is huge. What about food bicycles? Mr. Tommy Cheung, please ask your question. Sorry, I couldn't hear you, President. Please ask your question. It's not a platform for your suggestions. Thank you, President. Now, in terms of management of food and beverage premises, you need to start communicating with the FEHD on the licensing and management of the food businesses there. Secretary, President, I thank Mr. Tommy Cheung for his views. Now to clarify, the Development Bureau is partnering with West K Enterprise Limited. We are not asking the company to work with us at a loss. We pay for their services. We chose this company as a partner because the food premises they have introduced into the West Kowloon Cultural District have been quite popular. And also, this is a company which aims at promoting culture. So for the 4 sites I mentioned, besides food stores, we would like there to be some cultural elements as well. So West K Enterprise Limited is our partner. In terms of introducing operators to set up a business at the 4 above locations, a public tendering process is involved. So we don't rule out submission of interest from young entrepreneurs, not necessarily major catering corporates. Now, in terms of licensing, we will facilitate approval of license. Now, we have accumulated some experience in the past. Now, in the future, we will specify our requirements clearly in the tendering process. Thank you, President. Now, food is very important to attract footfall to the promenade. Now, we have had food trucks, but they were not very popular. Now, with the government issue food licenses dedicated to food businesses along the promenade to attract young entrepreneurs to set up businesses. Secretary. Thank you. Now, the light refreshment stores introduced through the West K Enterprise Limited are different from food trucks. Now, according to our past experience, it would give rise to other hurdles if we specify that the businesses must be in the form of food trucks. So we want to introduce at least 2 food establishments at each of the 4 sites. There will also be mobility. We will allow the food operators to change the location of their businesses flexibly, but we will take into account the members' views. Mr. Kwok. Thank you, President. To translate the concept of tourism is everywhere into economic benefits, I think consumption everywhere is also needed. Now, under the concept of connect first and enhance later, according to the main reply, at Central, Wan Chai North Point and Tsim Sha Tsui, there will be some refreshment stores set up. I fully support it, but there are some concerns. How can we avoid a monopoly by larger operators? Or trendy foods, but rather refreshment stores or hawker bazaars selling characteristic local food. Can we have a thematic bazaar? Secretary. Now, writing on this question, the Development Bureau has consulted the Harbourfront Commission concerning the establishments of refreshment stores at the 4 Harbourfront locations. Many members raised similar views. We shouldn't be aiming at selling fancy food. We need to sell food with local characteristics. We don't need to be groundbreaking, but rather we just want to showcase our characters. So that would be reflected in the assessments of the returned tender on whether bazaars can be set up. Location is important. Now, the shoreline is so long and there are different characteristics for each section. Now, if a bazaar is established along the shoreline, it would disturb the peace of those who would like to enjoy some quiet time along the harbourfront. So we have organized some weekend bazaar at certain locations near harbourfront. So we will allow interested parties to organize bazaar activities in the future. Mr. Kenny Fogg. Thank you, President. Now, according to the main reply, the CHES should not be disturbed. This is my concern as well. This is one of the several sites at the harbourfront where mega events can be held. Now, according to past statistics, starting from 2014, the CHES has been entrusted to a third party for operation. Now, 10 years on, the government has been making a revenue, has been making some $988,000 per month from the operator. Now, the rent is as high as $200,000 per day for the operator. Now, the government's policy is to promote event economy, but there is a lack of location. Will the government take back this valuable space to use it for mega events which will bring about economic benefits, and the government will have more say in terms of the rent if that's the case? Secretary, President, the Central Harbour Front event space, or the CHES, has been leased to an operator on short-term tenancy because we understand that we need to harness the market force. If it is run by the government, it may lose its unique characteristic. Even for short-term tenancy, the government has initiative as well. If we consider the performance of the operator is underwhelming, or if it wants to introduce new concepts, we can tender out the short-term tenancy again. Now, the short-term tenancy will soon be expired, and we will put it up for tender soon. Now, we have considered several possible areas of improvement. First of all, we would like to extend the tenure to 5 years. Now, short-term tenancy would be renewed every 3 years, and that would impose some limitation on investment size. And also, we will specify requirements and methods for attracting more visitors to the CHES, and we will ask the operator to set up food businesses. Now, it is more, at present, the CHES is more event oriented. So in the future, we would like it to be more food oriented. So we will start the tendering exercise soon. Thank you.
Question 2, Honorable Robert Lee. Thank you. It is learned that there are currently over 1,100 fintech companies in Hong Kong, including 8 licensed digital banks, 4 virtual insurers, and 10 virtual asset trading platforms. Regarding the development of fintech, will the government inform this council, 1, of the plans in place to assist licensed fintech companies in expanding their operations and developing products? For example, by assisting them in expanding their service scope to the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area GBA, promoting the asset under management size and turnover of exchange-traded funds, ETFs on virtual asset VA, enhancing the international competitiveness and attractiveness of VA-related products, as well as developing more futures and options product for VAs, etc. 2, whether it will urge the regulators to allow institutional and retail investors to participate in more VA transactions of different types of currencies and relax the eligibility requirements for professional investors, as well as include VA as asset under the Securities and Futures Financial Resources Rule so as to facilitate the development of the VA market. And 3, how the government will formulate enhancement measures in rules and regulations, tax concessions, as well as publicity and promotion, so as to further attract large-scale international fintech companies to establish presence here, and of the plans in place to assist the financial services industry in using fintech to enhance operational efficiency and reduce costs, thereby promoting the upgrading and transformation of the industry. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, President. As an international financial center with a robust regulatory environment and abundant opportunities, Hong Kong is an ideal location for promoting the development of fintech. The FSTB and the financial regulators maintain close communications with the industry to understand their needs with a view to formulating measures to facilitate the development of fintech. My reply are as follows. 1. To facilitate the continuous development of fintech enterprises here, we have adopted a multi-pronged strategy through enhancing Hong Kong's financial infrastructure, building a vibrant ecosystem, nurturing talents, and strengthening our connection with and cooperation with the mainland and overseas, with a view to creating a conducive environment to promote fintech innovation and application. On promoting investment products relating to virtual assets, VAs, the SFC, Securities and Futures Commission, authorized the first batch of VA futures exchange-traded funds, ETFs, for retail investors trading in December 2022, Asia's first batch of VA spot ETFs in April 2024, as well as Asia's first VA futures inverse products in July 2024. These products have broadened the diversity of the market, further enhancing Hong Kong's position as Asia's leading ETF market. Besides, in February this year, the SFC promulgated the Aspire Roadmap, which aims to strengthen the security, innovation, and growth of the market. A focus of the roadmap is to expand the range of VA products and services so as to fulfill the need of various types of investors under the prerequisite of investor protection, while enhancing the international competitiveness and attractiveness of our VA market. The specific measures include allowing staking services involving VA within a system with sufficient safeguard to enable investors to earn additional returns. In April, the SFC issued regulatory guidance to licensed VATPs, virtual asset trading platforms, on the provision of staking services, and to SFC-authorized funds with exposure to VA funds, a guide on their engagement in staking. On the 10th of April this year, the SFC allowed 2 licensed VATPs to provide staking services through licensing conditions. The 2 SFC-authorized VA spot ETFs updated their fund documents in April and May this year for their engagement in staking activities. The SFC is also considering introducing VA derivatives trading for professional investors and will put in place robust risk management measures. These measures will further enrich the product choices while ensuring that transactions are conducted in an orderly, transparent, and safe manner. In light of the latest developments of the VA market, the FSTB will promulgate the second policy statement on VA, articulating the next step policy vision and direction. These include exploring how to leverage the advantages of traditional financial services and innovative technologies in the areas of VA, enhance security and flexibility of real economy activities, and encourage local and international companies to explore the innovation and application of VA technologies. As for assisting fintech companies in expanding their business, the Invest Hong Kong works closely with industry players to conduct publicity and promotion in the GBA, including participating in major fintech events in the region, connecting with local government departments, regulators, industry associations, and INT parks, with a view to promoting advantage of Hong Kong fintech companies and expanding into the mainland market. 2. Currently, before including any VAs for trading, licensed VATP operators should perform due diligence on these VAs and ensure that these VAs continue to meet all criteria. Before providing any VA for retail trading, VATPs should take all reasonable steps to ensure the selected VAs are of high liquidity. The requirements seek to provide sufficient protection for investors, especially retail ones. The SFC will continue to assess the potential risks of VAs in respect of volatility, liquidity, and market manipulation, and keep a close watch of international regulatory development so as to review the requirements. Furthermore, in light of VA's nature, characteristics, and risks, we'll continuously evaluate whether the requirements relating to prudential treatment of VA exposures are in line with those in other jurisdictions. In respect to professional investors' qualifying criteria and minimum monetary threshold requirements, the SFC has conducted a review in 2019 and 20. The outcome of the review was that the current minimum monetary thresholds were simple and comprehensible and appropriately reflected an investor's loss absorption ability. It's also in line with those in comparable jurisdictions such as US, UK, Singapore, and Australia. We'll continue to evaluate whether the qualification requirements are in line with those in comparable jurisdictions. It should be noted that the International Organization of Securities Commission's IOSCO's publication of its final report with policy recommendations for crypto and digital asset markets in November 2023, IOSCO recommends that regulatory framework should seek to achieve regulatory outcomes in terms of investor protection and market integrity that are the same or consistent with those required in traditional markets, which is an approach adopted by the SFC since 2018. To attract more large-scale international fintech companies to set up their presence here, Oasis offers one-stop services and special facilitation measures. On regulation, Oasis assists companies in understanding their licensing and regulatory framework and coordinates with regulators as necessary to facilitate applications. Regarding tax benefits, Oasis shares with companies information of applicable benefits and funding schemes and connects them with higher education institutions, R&D institutions, and INT parks in order to expedite their business development. We also further enhance the preferential tax regimes for fund single-family offices and carried interests, including an inclusion of VAs as qualifying transactions. As for publicity, Oasis actively encourages overseas and mainland enterprises to publicize the advantages and policies in relation to fintech in Hong Kong through regular visits, exchanges, thereby attracting more companies to come. The government has put in place a multi-pronged approach with the development of developments. According to a survey in 2023, the adoption rate of generative AI was the highest among all markets, well above the global average 26%, where 38%. Last year in October, we issued a policy statement on the responsible application of AI in the market. Since then, we have introduced various initiatives to assist institutions to seize the opportunities and adopt AI responsibly. These include practical guidelines, sandbox schemes, as well as seminars and talks. The government and financial regulators will continue to maintain close liaison with the industry and assess their needs in order to formulate support measures to facilitate the development of new quality productive forces. Mr. Robert Lee, thank you. In relation to the 10 VATPs that are licensed, has the government conducted any survey about their market percentage as well as the participation rate of investors using them? If the rate is low, are there any measures to get more investors to make use of licensed VATPs in Hong Kong to conduct their transactions? Secretary. I think the point of Mr. Lee's point is that in relation to the 10 licensed VATPs, we've been exploring ways to help them expand their businesses in Hong Kong. That's why in my main reply, I mentioned that the SFC has promulgated Aspire, which is a roadmap to assist VATPs to provide more products and services. On a global perspective, the market share of participants is small because VA global transaction is significant. We think that the 10 VATPs, if they're given more flexibility, they'll be able to provide more services and products. We allow them to provide staking services. This is something relating that is similar to loans. Investors will get additional returns when they engage in this service. We want to allow professional investors to engage in derivative VA products. We hope that regulated entities, when risks are controllable, are able to develop more products because they know what the market needs. The SFC has focused on the 10 VATPs. They're in constant liaison to ensure that their needs are properly reflected and done in a timely manner to regulators so that we can make appropriate arrangements. Mr. Duncan Chiu, we have just had the stablecoin bill passed. In relation to Web3 as well as the virtual assets development in Hong Kong, we are quite well known. But the name is important. In the past, a lot of people were concerned that the name might give a wrong impression. Now the name's changed for banks from virtual banks to digital banks. Since then, some of these banks have been making a profit. In a lot of places, including our country, these activities are called digital assets. So when will you consider renaming virtual assets as digital assets? Secretary. We note that there is this impression when we talk to the market. Indeed, the name sometimes may give the impression that it is virtual, not something that is real. But we've been using this name ever since the start. We will see how we can make changes. But before we do so, in our publicity, in our market discussions, we make use of digital currency or digital assets. When in a visit in Canada, I use the term digital assets. For some people, the name may be important, but not as important as the substance. We've noted the views, but before we change the law, we can use a different way to present it to give them the right impression. Mr. Martin Liu. Chinese concept stocks listed overseas, a lot of them are involved in specialized technologies and fintech. Currently, the FSTB and the SFC, what are the preparations for them to come back? Will you enhance the listing regime to facilitate more China concept stocks that engages in fintech as well as specialized technologies to come to be listed here? The question is very good. The goal of the financial market is to serve the global economy. We need to assist fintech companies to finance and develop in Hong Kong. It is one of our key areas of work. The member talked about China concept stocks. Those that are listed overseas or in the US, there are about 300 or so. The capitalization is about over 70% of them are listed in Hong Kong in terms of market capitalization. There are a number of major ones. They might have been listed in Hong Kong. There are about 30 of such stocks, but they account for about 70% of our market capitalization. The remaining 30% or 300 or so, what can we do to facilitate them if they are eligible? We have been talking to the market. Under the leadership of the chief executive, we visited the Middle East. We've been told that they are China concept stocks that would like to come back to Hong Kong. So in terms of regulation as well as facilitation, we'll continue to follow up on these matters. Under the premise of ensuring market quality, we'll facilitate them to be able to finance in Hong Kong. Mr. Lam Sen Kang, when it comes to development of new products, legal services are always involved. However, there are no dedicated training programs for our professionals to train them on new products and new technologies. Mr. Lee Chen-keung and Mr. Edmund Wong have both expressed the wish that the government needs to put in place training courses for legal professionals. 3 years ago, I asked them to provide funding in this regard, but I received no reply. Now I want to ask again, will the government consider launching dedicated training programs for lawyers so that they can engage in these emerging industries? Secretary. Mr. Lam's question is a good one. Legal development and financial market development work hand in hand. The development needs to be supported by legal basis. We have some measures put in place. With the support of LegCo, we have put in place a regulatory regime for issuers of stable coins. The legal professions have given us a lot of opportunities that enables development in new financial areas. In these realms, the regulatory regime mirrors that in traditional regulatory regimes. We use this principle, similar risk, similar regulation. And this approach is extended in emerging areas. I think the point of Mr. Lam's question is how we are able to allow legal professions to get to know better these new areas. We make use of different channels, say for example through Invest Hong Kong, regulators, our bureaus and departments. We give them information about the latest development of our regulations and situations. We want to know what they need, and we also clarify matters if necessary. I think it's a bidirectional flow of information. We need to be able to reply to their questions and address their concerns in a timely manner. What is most important is that we have a very effective communication channels with them. Mr. Ma Fung-kwok, my question is, will there be enhanced discussion with the trade? Say, for example, in overseas visits to Belt and Road countries, South America, Europe, will there be more events relating to Web3 or fintech companies to attract these enterprises to come to Hong Kong? Mr. Ma's question is a timely one. I've just returned from Canada. I participated in Web Summit, organized for the first time in Vancouver. It's related to Web3. In relation to new regulations, say that relating to stable coins or VATPs, there are a lot of interest expressed. In addition to large enterprises, there are also startups that are interested in making use of this new regulations and new policies to come to Hong Kong. There is a lot of opportunities for that time zone. Invest Hong Kong, Talent Engage, as well as Oasis have been working on publicity and promotion. Ms. Maggie Chan, to assist the sector to use fintech, will there be cross-departmental collaboration engaging Astri, Science Park, and other parties to promote fintech in Hong Kong, to promote the upgrading and transformation of asset management as well as its similar areas? I think the focus of Ms. Chan's question is in relation to how we can enhance coordination and enhance our communications with different parties. Cyberport and Astri were mentioned. We have been collaborating with them in terms of partnership with Cyberport. When there are new measures and initiatives, they will publicize the information with industry players. Invest Hong Kong offers a one-stop service so that the market will be able to find out what are the requirements of the different products from different bureaus and departments. We may be different organizations, but there is smooth coordination and collaboration.
Ma Fung-kwok, you.
Question 3, Mr. Ma Fung-kwok. Thank you, President. There are views pointing out that Hong Kong's efforts to digitalize tourism services have failed to keep pace with development. It's learned that the mainland, Macau, South Korea, and Singapore have all leveraged technology to promote their tourism industries. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. Given that the government earlier on announced the deployment of AR technology for the City in Time tourism project in the Kowloon City district, what further plans the government has in place to apply AR and VR technologies to tourist attractions, particularly sites commemorating the War of Resistance and historical attractions, and set out in the table the attractions where these technologies have been introduced and the number of users to date? 2. whether it will draw on the experiences of cities in Asia and the mainland and make better use of the information available on the Hong Kong Tourism Board website to launch an all-in-one mobile travel application providing services such as travel guides, attraction recommendations, real-time traffic information and discounts on accommodation and dining, while also analyzing visitors' behavioral patterns. If so, which government department or organization will be responsible for designing, updating and maintaining the app and of the implementation timetable. And 3, as it's learned that the Immigration Department currently does not collect data on travelers' arrival and departure patterns, their length of stay in Hong Kong, the provinces from which mainland visitors came and the types of endorsement they held, whether the government will consider enhancing the department systems to obtain more traveler information for analytical purposes. Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. President, with the advancement of information technology, smart tourism has become a new trend for visitors to plan their itineraries and to enhance visitors' experience. The Chief Executive's 2023 policy address proposed the establishment of an interdepartmental working group on smart tourism to formulate and implement measures to promote smart tourism. The working group has completed the formulation of relevant strategies and measures, with details covering 2 strategic directions and 19 specific short, medium, and long-term measures incorporated into the development blueprint for Hong Kong's Tourism Industry 2.0 promulgated by the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau in December 2024. In consultation with the Security Bureau, our reply to the question raised by Mr. Ma is as follows. 1. The government has kept promoting the use of tech by tourist attractions to enhance facilities and transmission of information to provide visitors with a more diverse and enriching experience. Currently, many major attractions in Hong Kong have already adopted technologies such as AR, VR, AI, interactive experiences, and QR codes to facilitate visitors and enrich their experience. For example, Ocean Park Hong Kong has launched a new giant panda-themed attraction, Panda Wonders and Illuminated Journey, where giant pandas make appearances as cartoon characters through 3D projection technology, and visitors may interact and take photos with AR giant pandas. The Hong Kong Disneyland Resort makes use of AR technology to blend physical scenes with digital storytelling experiences to enhance visitors' interaction with Disney characters and immersive participation. The 2 museums in the West Kowloon Cultural District also incorporate AR and VR technologies into cultural and artistic activities. For instance, M+ Interactive Media Room offers innovative VR and digital artworks, which are well received by visitors. Many exhibitions flexibly utilize elements such as VR, projection, and interactive devices, such as the Flash, the Palace Museum, a pop-up digital experience held at Tai Kwun in January this year, made use of these elements to vividly recreate the essence of the Palace Museum's cultural treasures. Besides, the City in Time project taken forward by the Tourism Commission and many museums under the Leisure and Cultural Services Department, including the Hong Kong Museum of History and the Hong Kong Museum of the War of Resistance and Coastal Defense, have adopted the AR or VR technologies. Further details are as follows. The City in Time project makes use of AR and creative media art through mobile app to bring back to life in the history of individual landmarks. Phase 1 of the project was completed in 2021 at 28 locations around Central, Jordan, The Peak, Sham Shui Po, Tsim Sha Tsui, and Yau Ma Tei. Phase 2 of the project has been launched by stage from 2024 onwards, and the project has now been extended to Lei Yue Mun and Tai Hang. Preparations are underway for expanding the project to Kowloon City in 2025. As of April this year, the cumulative number of page views on the project website exceeded 152,000, while the cumulative number of downloads of the project's mobile app exceeded 31,000. The Museum of History is holding the Great Unity Civilization of the Qin and Han Dynasties in Shanxi Province, which features an interactive zone with AR exhibits to enhance visitors' understanding of the history and cultures of the Qin and Han Dynasties. The museum recorded over 940,000 visitors in year 2024-25. The permanent and thematic exhibitions currently presented at the Museum of the War of Resistance give an account of the history of Japan's aggression against China and Hong Kong's participation in the War of Resistance, as well as the missions and contributions of guerrillas after the fall of Hong Kong. The museum complements the exhibitions with interactive installations, videos, and oral histories from veterans, and employs technologies such as VR in events from time to time, allowing visitors to engage with history through various media. The museum recorded over 160,000 visitors in 2024-25. 2. The Hong Kong Tourism Board has been striving to advance Hong Kong to be a smart tourism destination. In terms of information dissemination, the Discovery Hong Kong platform of the Tourism Board currently adopts a web application, web app. In fact, web apps have developed into a new trend in recent years. Compared to mobile apps, which require downloading, updating, and occupying storage space, web apps are more convenient to users as visitors can simply access them through the web browser of their mobile phones. In addition, the Tourism Board constantly enhances and enriches the content of the Discover Hong Kong, providing visitors with comprehensive, reliable, and up-to-date travel information. For example, riding on the recent Tutum Festival long weekend of the mainland, the Tourism Board featured dedicated pages on the Discover Hong Kong, consolidating useful travel information such as citywide events, exclusive offers, transportation updates, and operating hours of attractions to attract and facilitate visitors to travel in Hong Kong. The Tourism Board is currently developing a live travel map and kickstarting preliminary development of smart itinerary planner on Discover Hong Kong to assist visitors in obtaining real-time travel information in different parts of Hong Kong. 3. The Immigration Department controls all entries into and exits from Hong Kong, examining passengers arriving and departing by land, sea, and air. The visitor statistics collected and maintained by the department during daily immigration control operations are provided to relevant government departments and organizations in support of their statistical and research work. For instance, the visitor statistics that the department currently provides to the Tourism Board on a regular basis include foreign visitor statistics by nationality, mode of entry, exit, gender, age, and length of stay, arrival statistics of mainland visitors by type of endorsement, travel document, and mode of entry and exit, etc. In addition, during specific festive periods, the department provides, at the Tourism Board's request, relevant information on departing visitors' age, gender, nationality, and arrival time on a daily basis. The department does not maintain statistics on provinces that mainland visitors were from, as mentioned in the question. Thank you. Mr. Ma Fung-kwok. In Asia, AR and VR technologies are consolidated in different historical sites in different regions to provide an immersive experience. According to the administration, AR technologies are limited to static sites or for educational purposes. Are there plans for the administration to incorporate dynamic AR or VR technologies in historical sites such as previous war zones so that through interaction, visitors can have an interactive experience? This will make the experience more interesting, and this will attract young people to visit these sites. Secretary, the answer is that we will continue to do so. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the War of Resistance of Hong Kong. We've been working with a couple of museums in Beijing and Guangdong. We will see whether we can learn from their practices. In the current exhibitions, we may not be able to deploy large-scale VR or AR technologies, but we will move towards this direction. I agree with Mr. Ma Fung-kwok. I think that we should provide a better experience for our visitors. We should also attract the younger generation to learn about our history as well as our culture, especially with respect to the history of our victory in the war. Mr. Tommy Jung, I would like to ask a question from a more micro perspective for the current tourist attraction sites, for example, with restaurants and in the 1,000 meter distance. Can you also recommend the attraction sites surrounding certain restaurants? Secretary, I know that the Tourism Board is working on the live travel map. There are different functions for the map. For example, the map may cover itineraries with respect to red tourism during Golden Week or festive periods when there is heavy foot traffic. There will also be information about that. As for restaurants that are within 1,000 meters of different attraction sites, well, that might be a lot of information for travelers, and travelers might find it confusing. However, if there are very attractive special offers offered by restaurants, we might be able to pass that information to the Tourism Bureau. Say there are special offers or discounts or ideas offered by restaurants during certain period, we might be able to cover that in the live travel map. This is a very good idea. We'll ask the tourism board to consider that. Ms. Jovi Chen. Thank you, President. According to the main reply, the Immigration Department collects data, for example, visitors, nationality, and length of stay in Hong Kong. This data is not enough. To keep our visitors in Hong Kong, we need more data. The FTU has been calling for the government to establish a system to collect the feedback of visitors to understand the level of satisfaction so that we can offer high quality experiences for visitors. Secretary, I thank Ms. Jovi Chen for the questions. Currently, after a lot of large-scale events, the tourism board would collect feedback from visitors or their comments at different attraction sites, and also when tourists arrive and depart from Hong Kong, we collect information from them. I agree that we should ask more detailed questions in a more humanized approach. In the past, we used to look at the percentage to see whether we performed well. Well, if we are to ask more detailed questions, in fact, we have already started doing so. When we design the same kind of activities, next time with the feedback, we can adopt a more targeted approach. We will target a certain group of visitors when we design certain activities and events. Say, visitors from a certain age group have preferences for certain activities or events, and we can step up promotion for those age groups. Thank you. Mr. Kwok Wai Kung, tourism development has been affected by COVID. A lot of practitioners switched to other industries after COVID in order to promote the idea of tourism is everywhere. Talents are key. We have to train up local tourism professionals. My question is, has the administration stepped up communication with local educational institutions? Apart from traditional programs about tourism and management, we should have courses on smart tourism as well as tourism technologies to inject new impetus to the development of our tourism industry. Secretary, on the training for tourism talents, we can work on it at different levels. Just now, Mr. Kwok mentioned about post-secondary institutions. I have visited post-secondary institutions that offer tourism-related programs. I've talked to them and they are aware that we should move with the times. We have to apply smart technologies and we have to disseminate such knowledge to students so that students are aware of the importance of it. So this is crucial. On the other hand, at VTC institutions, well, there is more frequent use of technologies to train up relevant practitioners. For example, the Chinese Culinary Institution, there has been such application of technology. For these institutions, students specialize in tourism-related courses or programs. However, for other tertiary institutions, like even in business schools of universities, People or students may not be interested in majoring in tourism. However, they might be interested in developing their career in the business sector or in the service sector, and tourism would be an important part of their studies. They might study tourism-related subjects as an elective. Training up tourism-related talents is a part of the work of the Travel Industry Authority. It has been training practitioners such as tour guides and tour leaders. We want more dedicated programs to train up talents. Under the Travel Industry Authority, we've been offering courses that would allow tour guides to obtain licenses afterwards. Tour guides may not have to take all the courses. Say tour guides may be interested in relics or docent tours or our local neighborhoods. They can take these programs according to their interests. Also, some people may not want to work long hours, but they want to join the tourism industry, and we have programs accommodating them as well. Mr. Chen Bui-leung. Thank you, President. Currently, many tours through intermediary platforms or travel agencies book tickets or hotel rooms. These platforms, they have many data about tourist behaviors. These data may be the asset of these platforms or enterprises. However, if you look at it from the perspective of the development of the tourism industry, with such big data, if we are able to analyze the data, we will be able to have an idea of the consumption pattern of visitors. Has the administration thought about asking these platforms to share data with the government for analytical purposes to facilitate the development of our tourism industry? Secretary, I thank Mr. Chen for the question. We understand that big data are very crucial. That's why in the development blueprint for Hong Kong's tourism industry 2.0, we set out the goal of working with e-payment platform or relevant service providers to collect data so that we can consolidate and analyze the big data collected. That way, we will be able to design and come up with tourism products and offerings that suits the needs of tourists. I understand that the Tourism Bureau have already started talking with the e-payment platforms or payment platforms in order to have a fuller grasp of the tourism-related data. This March, the Tourism Bureau further enhanced the functions of PartnerNet as well as the content and the website to build the PartnerNet into a comprehensive intelligence platform with interactive data, charts, as well as information about the length of stay of tourists to conduct a detailed analysis of the market sources. This will provide information for the industry. I myself has visited certain online platforms and platforms created by service providers. They do have a very good idea or good grasp of different data. For example, they have information about visitors' preferences for those who visit Hong Kong for concerts. We have reached out to them and asked them whether they could share data with us, the government or the Tourism Bureau, under the premise that data will be kept confidential. We understand that there are confidentiality consideration of these platforms. However, if we are able to have a hold of these data, we'll be able to better develop our tourist attraction sites and manage visitors. Thank you. Dr. Wendy Hong. During the May 1st Golden Week, many visitors were queuing up at attraction sites such as for Onping 360, and the waiting time was as long as 2 hours. People had to wait for over an hour for taking the Star Ferry. This poses a negative image on our tourism industry. Will the government provide more real-time information for visitors? For example, you can announce the waiting time for different attraction sites to help divert crowds. Secretary. During the May 1st Golden Week, or afterwards, the Tourism Bureau has already looked at the management for crowds. We looked at the arrangements at Ocean Park Disneyland on Ping 360, as well as the Peak Tram. Tourists had to purchase tickets in advance online before getting to the attraction site. This would help save time for them from waiting at the spot. There are mobile apps for the 2 major theme parks, and it also offers information about the waiting time for different facilities. In order to facilitate the planning of tours for planning their journey, we offer real-time information about the waiting time of different attraction sites. As mentioned in my major reply, the Tourism Board will develop a live travel map under Discover Hong Kong. This will cover information about different real-time travel information in different parts of Hong Kong. This will help enhance visitors' experience for very popular attraction sites. Such as the Peak Tram, there are alternatives such as buses or minibuses, but people are very passionate about taking the Peak Tram. We understand that the waiting time may be very long, but we want visitors to be able to get real-time information about the waiting time as much as possible.
Question for Mr. Adrian HO. In the reply to a question from a member of this council in 2018, the government undertook to conduct a study and consult stakeholders on the proposal to convert bus-only lanes into public transport-only lanes with a view to allowing the shared use by other public transport modes. Meanwhile, according to the information from the Transport Department, the number of bus trips along BC corridors in certain districts decreased cumulatively by 6,762 trips between 2014 and 2023. As such, there are views that this is an appropriate time to review the bus-only lane policy. However, the government has indicated earlier on that it currently has no plan to open up bus-only lanes for use by other vehicles. In this connection, will the government inform this council, 1, whether it has compiled statistics for each year of the past 5 years on the changes in the number of bus-only lanes in Hong Kong, the average traffic volume and vehicle speed in these lanes during peak hours, as well as how these figures compare with those for other lanes on the same road sections? If so, of the details, if not, how the government will determine the number of bus-only lanes to be added or reduced in the absence of such data. 2. Of the findings of the government study and consultation on the aforesaid proposal to convert bus-only lanes into public transport-only lanes, as well as whether there are specific reasons and actual data supporting the current decision of not to open public bus-only lanes, and 3. With regards to the reduction in the number of bus trips along certain busy road corridors in recent years, whether the authorities have reassessed the need for bus-only lanes on such corridors and studied the opening up of such lanes, if so, the details, if not, the reasons for that. Thank you. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. President, Hong Kong citizens mainly commute by public transportation, which accounts for nearly 90% of the total passenger trips per day. Franchised bus is a road-based public transport mode with the highest carrying capacity. The average daily patronage in 2024 exceeded 3.7 million, making up over 30% of the total daily public transport ridership. Bus-only lanes, BOLs, are traffic lanes designated for use by only franchised bus or franchised and non-franchised bus during the prescribed time. Other vehicles have to make use of other traffic lanes next to the BOLs or alternative routes. Under the policy of giving priority to public transportation, the Transport Department TD has implemented BOLs to accord priority to buses with high carrying capacity to use the roads, thereby reducing delays caused by traffic congestion and encouraging the public to use convenient public transportation for travel. Our reply in response to the question raised by Mr. Adrian HO is set out below. 1. In implementing bus priority measures, TD will consider the actual road situation and traffic conditions, including the design of roads and junctions, the number of traffic lanes, the number of bus routes and bus service frequencies, the traffic volume of other types of vehicles, availability of alternative routes, the impact on the flow of other vehicles, etc., and carefully assess the feasibility of such measures in order to strike a proper balance and ensure smooth operation of the transport network. In addition, TD will work out the appropriate effective period of bus priority measures based on the actual road conditions and consult relevant stakeholders and districts to ensure the measures are in the interest of the public. As of May 2025, there were 115 BOLs in total across Hong Kong Island, Kowloon, and the New Territories. Over the past 5 years, TD added 16 BOLs. According to TD's on-site observations as well as feedback from bus companies, BOLs can effectively minimize the impact of traffic congestions on bus services, enhance the stability and efficiency of bus frequencies, and facilitate the travel of the public. TD did not compile statistics on the daily average volume of bus traffic and vehicle speed in respect of each BOL compared with those for other lanes and on the same road sections. 2. TD has examined the proposal of converting some BOLs into public transport-only lanes for the shared use by other modes of public transport such as taxis and public light buses, PLBs. In doing so, we need to consider the pros and cons. While the proposal can benefit passengers of PLBs and taxis, it will at the same time increase the number of vehicles sharing the same road space with buses, making BOLs busier and affecting bus passengers. Taking the BOL of Two Moon Road eastbound near Harrow International School, Hong Kong to Shan Tsing Interchange as an example, about 510 bus passes through the BOL per hour during peak hours on weekdays, carrying about 21,000 passengers, compared with the services of taxis and PLBs carrying about 1,100 passengers per hour during peak hours on weekdays at the same road section. On the premise of maintaining smooth operation of the BOL and balancing the needs of various road users, this section of BOL was not opened up. In light of change in traffic flow and bus operation of Two Moon Road after the implementation of the new toll plans at Tai Lam Tunnel, TD will review the arrangements of BOL of Two Moon Road in a timely manner under the public transport-oriented policy. If the opening up of certain BOLs can improve the operational efficiency of other public transport modes, TD will make better use of these BOLs through various means by taking into account relevant factors. For example, some green minibuses, GMB routes require access to specific BOLs to reach designated pickup and drop-off points. After considering factors such as service frequency, boarding or alighting points, as well as bus traffic of the relevant BOLs, TD will issue permits to the routes concerned for using the relevant BOLs. At present, a total of 56 GMB routes have been granted such permits. 3. TD is committed to reducing the number of buses plying on busy roads in Central, Causeway Bay, and Yau Ching Mong districts with a view to reducing roadside air pollution, traffic congestion, etc. As most of the BOLs are not located at these busy roads, there is no direct impact on the overall bus traffic of BOLs. TD has from time to time reviewed and improved BOLs and traffic facilities of the road sections in the vicinity. For example, TD has reviewed the arrangement of the BOL from 200 Hennessy Road westbound to the section of Hennessy Road near Luard Road. After reviewing the traffic data, actual road situation, and other factors, as well as consulting relevant stakeholders in the district, TD adjusted the effective period of the BOL of Hennessy Road westbound between Fleming Road and Luard Road from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and shortened the BOL by 65 meters to balance the needs of other vehicles for loading and unloading. In summary, TD will continue to monitor the implementation of BOLs and road traffic and review and enhance individual road sections in a timely manner. Thank you, President. Mr. Adrian HO. Thank you, President. In the main reply, the administration did not supply the average traffic volume and speed of certain road sections during peak hours. But I think that these are statistics important for road planning. I hope that the government will collect such data. Take Guangzhou as an example. There, public transport-only lanes can be used by taxis for pickup and drop-offs. Currently, the administration is looking into regulating online ride-hailing services. I wonder if they have looked into formulating policies to enhance the competitiveness of minibuses and taxis. Secretary. I thank Mr. Ho for the follow-up question. We do open BOLs up for shared use of other modes of transport sometimes. As I mentioned, we have opened up some of the BOLs for use of minibus. As for taxis, as they offer personalized point-to-point services to passengers, and as there are many of them and they don't have a designated route, if we allow them to use BOLs, then many vehicles will cut into the lanes of BOLs, and that will delay the schedule of bus service. And this is against the policy intent of creating BOLs. But the administration understands that taxis and ride-hailing service need more support from us. That's why at various districts in Hong Kong, we have set up many pickup and drop-off points for taxis. And where feasible, we are going to relax the no-stopping restrictions to facilitate their operation. Thank you. Mr. Gary Zhang. Thank you, President. We need data to support our transport policy. As mentioned in the main reply, the government does not compile statistics on the volume of bus traffic and vehicle speed in respect of BOLs. The government currently relies on manual counting of vehicles. I wonder if the administration will create a real-time system to collect traffic flow data. Secretary. President, at certain BOLs where necessary, we will look into opening them up for shared use of other public transport modes. We do have data on those BOLs. However, in 115 BOLs, we don't have the relevant statistics on the daily average volume of bus traffic and vehicle speed. We're going to promote smart traffic management systems. With these technology, it's easier for us to collect data on traffic volume. We're going to look into it. Later this year, in respect of smart transport traffic, we're going to report to the LegCo about our ideas on it. Mr. Rock Chan. President, when we have large concerts or sports events, will the government look into opening up BOLs temporarily for GMBs so that we can evacuate spectators? Secretary, I thank Mr. Chan for the suggestion. We will look into opening up BOLs for GMBs. The Transport Department will look into the impact caused to the BOLs and how effective it is in evacuating spectators after the events. Mr. Chan Yong. Thank you, President. Just now, the Secretary talked about smart city. We have school buses and feeder buses going from residential developments to different areas. Should we open up the BOLs for these vehicles? Can we say adjust the traffic lights to further rationalize the traffic at, for example, Shelton? I wonder if the government will look into these areas in the coming year. Secretary. President, I thank Mr. Chan for the suggestion. As to what type of transport can use the BOLs, that's set out in our legislation, and we put up relevant signs at the lanes. If we allow certain modes of transport to use BOLs temporarily, we can look into it, but if we have to implement such ideas, we have to make amendments to our laws. Mr. Lee Chen-kan. President, regarding opening up bus-only lanes to other modes of transport, well, Mr. Frankie Yik on the 30th of June 2018 made the relevant proposal. You said that you will look into it. However, 7 years have passed. Very few BOLs are open up to other modes of transport. In other countries, they have dedicated lanes for use of vehicles that are fully occupied. I wonder if the government will allow, say, minibus and taxis to use BOLs in tunnels. Secretary. President, I thank the member for her suggestion. However, regarding the BOLs in tunnels, well, actually, the bus stops near the tunnel portal is usually very congested. In order to ensure the smooth operation of bus, it is best for us to dedicate the BOL to bus only. Should we allow bus, or rather taxis or minibus to use the BOLs at the tunnel portals? We have to look into the pros and cons of it. Mr. Tony Chair. Thank you, President. We have to overcome many challenges to, while we build a road, we have to look at the space, the investment to be dedicated, so on and so forth. In the main reply, the last paragraph, the Secretary said that the TD will continue to monitor the implementation of BOLs and road traffic and review and enhance individual road sections in a timely manner. I hope that the Secretary will tell us in detail how they are going to monitor the implementation of BOLs, so that we know that relevant colleagues of yours are actually looking into the matter systematically. Secretary, thank you. We note Mr. Chair's suggestions. We have various colleagues in the TD in different districts to monitor the traffic conditions. When we receive suggestions to look into the effective periods of BOLs, relevant colleagues will try to look into it. As to whether we have a plan to look at the BOLs across the territory, currently, as I mentioned, when we receive feedback, we will look into it. The time and the manpower to be dedicated in monitoring the implementation of BOLs across territory is very substantial. Mr. Kwok, there are two types of BOLs. One is for franchised bus only, and the other is for all types of buses. if minibus and school bus want to use the BOLs, they can apply to the Transport Department for a permit. The administration said that if taxis are allowed to use the BOLs, that may undermine the service provided by the buses. However, since 1995, BOLs was established at Two Moon Road. However, as the government has already taken back the Talam Tunnel, the traffic volume at Two Moon Road has dropped. Should the government open up the BOLs for minibus and other public transport so that the BOL there can turn into a public transport only lanes? To give full play to the functions of the lanes, we can use the BOLs at Two Moon Road as a pilot road for this. Secretary, thank you. As we have implemented the new toll plans at Talam Tunnel, we're going to look into the traffic volume to see if we should open up the BOL at Two Moon Road for shared use of minibus and taxis. We'll look into it.
Question 5, Mr. Brave Chan. Thank you, President. I also thank the Secretary for joining. This year, the 15th National Games, the 12th National Games for Persons with Disabilities, and the 9th National Special Olympic Games will be co-hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau. In this connection, will the government inform this Council, 1. How the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau will work with relevant government departments and organizations to publicize the Games. 2. Of the plans of the CSTB and the Hong Kong Tourism Board to step up efforts to attract mainland and overseas visitors to Hong Kong for watching the Games. And 3. Given that the 2025 Legislative Council general election will be held shortly after the National Games, how the government will integrate the publicity efforts of the National Games and those of the election so that the two mega events can complement each other. What is the current progress and timetable of the relevant work? Thank you, President. Secretary for Culture, Sport and Tourism. President, the 15th National Games and the 12th National Games for Persons with Disabilities and the 9th National Special Olympic Games will be co-hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau for the first time. The National Games will be held from the 9th to 21st of November 2025, while the other games will be held from the 8th to the 15th of December this year. The Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau is committed to enhancing public awareness of and interest in all those games through multi-channel publicity, including the use of traditional media, social media, city dress-up, roving exhibitions, as well as collaborations with community organizations, sports associations, and schools. Our publicity strategies are rolled out in 3 stages. The first stage started in the end of last year to enhance public awareness of the Games. The second stage, running from January to July this year, aims to foster a welcoming atmosphere for the Games in Hong Kong. The work includes the launch of the mascot, Xi Yang Yang Le Rong Rong, and they feature in our photo-taking spot. The third stage will start from August this year to massively boost the popularity of the Games and participation in those games. The work includes organizing the 100-day countdown, torch relay, and the Sport for All Day, as well as other enhanced promotional efforts like city dress-up initiatives. Our reply to Mr. Brave Chan's question is as follows. 1. The CSTB is working with relevant government bureaus, departments, and organizations to carry out publicity. The highlights include launching a publicity campaign with the Leisure and Culture Services Department for the athlete selection sessions of the mass participation event of the Games under the theme I Want to Join the National Games, and taking the opportunity to promote the 2 mass participation events organized by Hong Kong, namely bowling and paradance sport. Launching announcements in the public interest and special programs through the Information Services Department and Radio Television Hong Kong respectively, covering local athletes, mainland competition events, preparations of Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau for the Games. The ISD also assisted in publicity in the mainland and overseas, including promotion through social media and digital platforms in the mainland, as well as advertisements in overseas media. Joining hands with the Home Affairs Department and the Education Bureau to conduct territory-wide community engagement activities and diversified promotional activities in schools with a view to widely publicizing the events both in the community and in schools, beautifying the cityscape in areas around the competition venues in collaboration with the Highways Department to infuse the community with elements of the Games. Besides, we co-organized the architectural installation design competition for the National Games with the Hong Kong Institute of Architects and collaborating with various bodies and groups, including the Sports Federation and Olympic Committee of Hong Kong, China, the China-Hong Kong Paralympic Committee, the Hong Kong Sports Institute, related national sports associations, and the Hong Kong Tourism Bureau, Hong Kong Tourism Board to include elements of the Games in their events. 2. Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau will deploy the same ticketing platform. The Guangdong Provincial Executive Committees for the Games are actively working on the ticketing policies and system setup. Upon confirmation of the ticketing arrangements, the CSTB will encourage the tourism industry to design various tourism products with a view to attracting mainland and overseas spectators and visitors. As for the mainland market, the HKTB will target sports fans by carrying out publicity work on related social media and through other forms of media. 3. On December 7th this year, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region will hold the 8th Legislative Council General Election. This election is crucial to the successful and faithful implementation of the principles of patriots administering Hong Kong, good governance, and long-term stability of the HKSAR. Given this, the government attaches great importance to the successful organization of this election and the Games. The government is determined to make the publicity and promotion a success. Our goal is to achieve extensive publicity effort wherever people look. Currently, relevant government bureaus and departments are actively considering coordinated efforts to take forward the publicity of these two major events. Any specific arrangement will be announced when appropriate. Thank you, President. Mr. Brave Chen. I thank the President and the Secretary. I like the phrase extensive publicity, just like what we did with the 75th National Day celebrations last year. Now, I have some questions about the figures. So how many publicity clips have we made? How many extra visitors can we attract? Say, will this be an extra 30%? And during the National Games, how can we get people to watch those games in person and cheer for the Hong Kong team? Secretary, thank you. Now, on the promotional videos, the APIs in general, we have been working on those materials. On the 9th of November 2024, we launched the first APIs. That was to tie in with the start of the countdown. Now, the edited version and also information on the venues were also launched from the 29th of January to the 31st of March this year. And then we also had a clip on the mascots. Those were aired on the 26th of May. We also have two other APIs in the lineup. Those will be launched in early August when we will start the 100-day countdown and also the start of the games. That's to drum up enthusiasm for the games. Now we expect 100,000 spectators to arrive here for the games. We believe there will be local residents and also people from other parts of the mainland, including people from the rest of the Greater Bay Area. That's why in the mainland we started our publicity campaign. Now we're working with CCTV, on publicity in the GBA. So we will be able to showcase our organizational expertise. We will also be able to showcase our tourist attractions. We will be able to promote those to the tourists. Dr. Kennedy Wong. Mr. Brave Chan's question mentions this in particular, and that is integrating publicity for the games and that for the election. And then the government's reply says it is actively looking into the matter. Now we have secretaries from both the CSTB and the Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Bureau. So we will consider inviting athletes who take part in the national games to help out with the publicity for the election, or some kind of brand ambassador from the national games for the election. Maybe we can achieve synergy by doing that. Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism. I will first say a few words before my colleague, the Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, can say more on this. Now we have two major events close to each other. Now, if we can integrate the publicity efforts, we will be able to maximize the benefits. The same goes for the economic benefits. Now, on whether we will get the athletes to help out, or maybe we can try a different approach, because we want to show people we're talking about two distinct events. I believe the departments will note Dr. Wong's suggestion. Now, I give the floor to the Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs. I thank Dr. Wong for his suggestion. Different government bureaus and departments, including the CSTB, the CMAB, the Information Services Department, we will all work together and think about ways to promote the two major events. We will consider all these factors. I thank Dr. Wong for his suggestion again. Mr. Benson LUK. The 15th National Games will be the major event of the year. Now, people coming to Hong Kong, visiting here, will take an interest in sports in Hong Kong. Let's look at the 15th National Games. Some events will be in Shenzhen and Zhuhai, such as marathon and also cycling. Those are actually cross-boundary events. So how can we work together with the hotel industry, F&B industry, and airlines? How can we launch packages with sports elements so that we can draw sports fans here and we can achieve multi-destination tourism? Secretary. I thank Mr. LUK for his question. The tourism sector takes this event very seriously, and they are getting pumped up for this. And they are thinking about how to launch new product. A key element is the ticketing arrangement. Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau are at the final stages of discussions about ticketing. Hopefully, we can announce the arrangement soon. We want people to be able to buy the tickets offline and online. Now, multi-destination tourism is something we want to encourage. We also let the tourism industry know the itineraries, the lineup of games. We want to let the industry know in advance when we have the details. Mr. Tommy Chung. Please click your microphone to your jacket. the F&B sector is all for the games. But the F&B sector struggles with getting people watching the national games to go to those restaurants. We should all work together with hotels and other sectors. We should offer package deals to those inbound visitors. We can offer special deals. So we should get the tourism sector to work together with the F&B sector. Secretary. Mr. Tommy Chung is offering not just a suggestion, it's a promise. It's an offer because it looks like the F&B sectors was happy to work with the tourism sector. There are 8 events under the National Games that will be held in Hong Kong. In different parts of Hong Kong, in fact. Say we have the track cycling that will be in the Hong Kong Velodrome in Tseung Kwan O. The basketball games will be in the Hong Kong Coliseum. We also have the rugby sevens and fencing. We also have handball. Those will take part in the Kai Tak Sports Park. In the Victoria Park, we will see the beach volleyball and the triathlon. Now for the golf event, that will be held in Van Ling. So across the territory, people will see events of the national games, and that's where the tourists will visit. That means opportunities, huge opportunities for the F&B sector and the tourism sector. I thank Mr. Tommy Chung for his comment once again. So we will bear in mind the F&B sector. And we can also let Mr. Tommy Chung know once we have an update so that the F&B sector can get ready soon. Mr. Perry Yu. I declare an interest. I'm a board member of a travel agency and a hotel. We just heard about ticketing and package deals. Now, ticketing is close to the heart of the sector. Now, in the main reply, we can see proposals to get the tourism sector involved so that the incoming tourists can follow the event. Can we set aside a number of tickets just for sports tourism so that the tourism sector can offer package deals? That way we can make the National Games a success and we can also foster interaction and tourism in the GBA. Secretary. That's exactly what we want to achieve. Last week, I visited Guangzhou. We had a meeting with the organizing committee for the National Games. We want to start selling the tickets sooner so that the tourists, visitors can plan their trips accordingly. Now for events to be held in Hong Kong, on how many tickets we can reserve and how many tickets the travel agencies can get their hands on. Now once we form a consensus at the organizing committee, and then we can talk to the tourism sector about that. Mr. Ma Fung-kwok. The secretary said they expected 100,000 spectators for the National Games. If that figure is right, then the F&B sector and the tourism sector are let down. Assuming half of those spectators are from the mainland, then that figure is hardly an exciting figure. We want publicity everywhere. We should be more ambitious in our target. We want the mainland tourists to come here and create this festive vibe. And that's how we can achieve our goal with holding events under the National Games. At the boundary control points, will there be specific measures? Will there be publicity beforehand specifically targeted at inbound visitors? Or will there simply be publicity in Hong Kong and that's it? Secretary. Now, there will be facilitation for inbound visitors. Now, over the Chun Festival, the government mobilized resources to make life easier for inbound visitors, so the member can rest assured that this will be taken care of. Now, on the projected number of 100,000 spectators, we will be holding 8 events. We will have to bear in mind the capacity of the venues. Now, for the Rugby Sevens, it will be held in the Kai Tak Sports Park. The basketball event will be held in the Hong Kong Coliseum, and there will be different sessions on the same day. We're not talking about one session per day. So we have to estimate how many people can actually be fitted in each venue. Of course, we will do our best in publicity. But the most important thing is that we have to be able to sell them the tickets. With the national games, we're not just looking at drawing tourists. We also want local residents to be spectators. We stress the message that some events will happen here. It's our home ground. And we want to further foster national identity through the national games. Mr. Chu Kwok. Now, what we're doing is very limited in publicity. In Guangdong province, there are 15 cities, and they have more than 70 outlets for special merchandise for the national games. None such outlet is found in Hong Kong. And there are special issues of stamps in the mainland and Macau. Now, I just learned about the planned issue of stamps from Hong Kong Post yesterday. No special issue for the national games. So for our marketing strategy, shouldn't we be thinking about product that we can market at this point? Secretary. The national games will be co-hosted by 3 places. We need to coordinate with the other 2 sides before we can launch any special merchandise. We want to see results sooner. We're still negotiating how things work. Once we finalize the details, we will put up those merchandise goods for sale everywhere. On the stamps, during the national games, there will be special issues of stamps. I have looked at some designs. I believe people will like those designs.
Last question seeking an oral reply, Mrs. Regina IP. Thank you, President. It is learned that the government, public organizations, and some private enterprises have said biliteracy and trilingualism, that is the ability to write Chinese and English fluently, along with an excellent command of spoken Cantonese, Putonghua, and English as the language proficiency requirement for recruitment. However, there are views pointing out that such requirement makes it impossible for talents with exceptional qualifications but uneven levels of biliteracy and trilingualism, or those who are proficient in specific languages and possess specific expertise, to be recruited. And this may affect the talent diversity and competitiveness of Hong Kong in the long run. In this connection, will the government inform this council, 1, whether it has compiled statistics on the number of personnel in the government and public organizations who are proficient in specific languages at present, if so, of the details, if not the reasons for that, and whether it will compile the relevant statistics. 2, Given that Hong Kong is following closely the footsteps of our country in deepening international exchanges and cooperation, such as promoting economic and trade cooperation with Latin America and the Middle East region, etc., of the specific measures the government has put in place to recruit talents proficient in the languages spoken in such regions and with local connections to undertake the aforesaid work, and 3, whether the government will take the lead in formulating more flexible language proficiency standards for recruitment to some government posts, especially those requiring specific expertise or international experience, so as to bring in diversified talents and enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness. Secretary for Civil Service. President. The consolidated reply to various parts of the question is as follows. The government attaches great importance to attracting talents from different backgrounds to join the civil service and building up a diversified pool of talents to enhance the quality and efficiency of the government and public service. Appointment to the civil service is conducted on the principle of open and fair competition in order to select and recruit the most suitable and most meritorious talents. Departments will, having regard to the job requirements of different civil service grades, specify appropriate entry requirements, including academic qualification, experience, language proficiency, and will review these requirements from time to time to ensure that they are commensurate with the objective of achieving good performance. In selecting applicants, we fully assess their character, performance, ability, and capability to ensure that only candidates who meet the required standards in all aspects would be appointed. It is of paramount importance for appointed officers to be able to meet the core competency requirements, including language requirements, in particular for degree-level jobs. Apart from discharging professional duties, officers are generally required to communicate with members of public stakeholders and other government departments and express complicated concepts and views. They may also be promoted to directorate level. In this connection, they must have good communication skills. We will ensure that the language proficiency requirements set by departments and grades would not be higher than the requirements of the job. For posts requiring a university degree, there are 2 different levels of Chinese and English language proficiency requirements. Departments and grades may set their language proficiency requirements at one of the 2 levels, according to their operational needs. For posts requiring qualification below university level, departments or grades may set their own language proficiency requirements. While the government has a basic requirement on the Chinese and English proficiency level of the majority of civil servants, we will flexibly adjust the language proficiency requirements for individual posts in having regard to the job nature and operational needs, so that those who possess exceptional qualities or professional expertise but with uneven levels of biliteracy and trilingualism may also be appointed. For example, government councils handle professional legal work, including criminal advocacy, civil litigation, legal advice, law drafting. In order to attract a wider pool of talents, the Department of Justice may, without affecting the operations of the department, recruit a small number of persons with unique experience or professional knowledge, but whose Chinese language proficiency does not meet the entry requirement to be government counsel. If there is a need for departments to adjust the language proficiency requirements for other jobs to meet their operational needs and better draw for talents of different backgrounds, we are prepared to consider giving greater flexibility. Given that the overall quality of public service is not affected, international business, finance, and other fields, English is still the main working language. Although different countries have their own official languages, English is widely used. People who need to work with foreigners are generally willing and accustomed to communicate in English. For attracting enterprises and investment, promoting Hong Kong and other international engagements, examples on international engagements include attending international conferences and liaison work outside the conference venues, Hong Kong's young civil servants working in the United Nations and its affiliated organizations. They can generally be carried out in English. Depending on actual needs, say organizing investment promotion activities overseas, interpretation service will be arranged by the relevant departments and or the ETOs overseas. Government positions in overseas ETOs involve extended postings abroad, where officers must develop long-term and in-depth political, commercial, and cultural ties. their roles call for higher proficiency in foreign languages. At the moment, we do not maintain statistics on the number of civil servants who are proficient in foreign languages. However, in respect of AO grade, which has the largest number of posts in overseas ETOs and the greatest opportunities to be responsible for external work of Hong Kong, we will collect information on foreign languages proficiency of the applicants during recruitment. We also subsidize AO grade officers to learn foreign languages. For all civil servants posted to ETOs or seconded outside Hong Kong, for example, executive officers, information officers, and trade officers, subsidies will be provided for them to learn foreign languages. Separately, when there is a need to use a foreign language for a specific period of time, departments may recruit persons who know the foreign language on civil service agreement or non-civil service contract terms. If there is a long-term need for the post holder of a particular post to know a foreign language, but applicants who know the relevant foreign language and proficient in both Chinese and English are rare, as mentioned earlier, without affecting the operations of the departments, they may employ persons with unique foreign language ability, but whose Chinese or English language proficiency does not meet the entry requirement. The government will also, having regard to the needs of the job at different times, fill vacancies in an appropriate way. For posts at promotion ranks, if they require experience which are not commonly found in the civil service, we will consider filling vacancies by open recruitment. Examples on open recruitment include Commissioner for Innovation and Technology, Director of Legal Aid, Director General of Investment Promotion. Like recruitment of officers at entry ranks, which require no or limited working experience, applicants' proficiency in Chinese and English is evident in their working experiences. For those who have rich experience and outstanding achievements in industries, their communication skills in Chinese and English would not be inadequate to cope with their work. In this connection, the government generally only requires the applicants to have a good command in Chinese and English, rather than requiring them to possess specific public examination or civil service examination results in order to attract talents who have the most suitable experience and capability. Mrs. Regina IP. I'm very dissatisfied with the reply given by the Secretary, especially with promoting investment and attracting enterprises. One only needs to know English, but in my personal experience, in the government's work in promoting investment and attracting enterprises, we actually had a banquet. The foreign entrepreneur does not know English, but we have someone from Mauritius who actually speaks fluent French to accompany the entrepreneur. And I only spoke a few sentences of French, and the entrepreneur was quite happy. My French level was from the days when I studied the O-level French, and the entrepreneur was already very happy with my French skills. So foreign language skills are very important. If we are to develop the Latin American and Middle Eastern markets, we should have Invest Hong Kong, Oasis, and the Trade Development Council engage personnel who speak the relevant languages. Maybe even someone Spanish or Middle Eastern. Excuse me, I was told by Invest Hong Kong they have 2 high-level officials speaking French, and I believe the Secretary does not even know this. Secretary, as I said earlier, if there are long-term needs for departments to have specific skills, and French would be one of them, and if they observe in the current pool of talents in Hong Kong with Chinese and English skills do not possess a relevant skill, we have flexibility in relaxing the Chinese and English language proficiency requirements to hire the relevant personnel. And in accordance with the basic law, Article 99 actually said for those serving in the civil service must be Hong Kong permanent residents. But we also have Article 101 of the Basic Law that gives us some flexibility. If necessary, the government may engage those in holding permanent identity cards to serve as public servants. So it does give some flexibility. Thank you. Mr. Sunny Tan, we need people with diversified experiences, and we have those in the civil service in different other places that will be seconded to different organizations, even private companies, so that they can be exposed to different experiences and make greater contributions in future. I do know that civil servants are seconded at the moment to certain organizations. Can we expand the scope to cover more organizations? Thank you. Secretary, we have experienced that with the seconding of civil servants to non-public organizations would expose them to great experiences. So we're looking into more arrangements like that so that the civil servants can be seconded to other organizations. But we are tight on manpower at the moment. We have a 10% vacancy rate at the moment. So once we are less tight in manpower, we will consider more seconding arrangements. Thank you. Mr. Pote. When we talk about Do Re Mi Fa, so everyone knows it's about music. But when we are talking about, say, the Chinese musical language, people may not know as much about it. I think the gist of Mrs. Regina IP's question is clear, and her questions were not answered by the Secretary. Whether we are prepared as a competitive society is the question. We should not only cater to the English audience, because right now we are facing pressure from the relevant nations. We are trying to develop the Middle Eastern and Latin American markets. And with the Secretary's reply on talking about government councils, it is not exactly responding to the questions of Mrs. Regina IP. Mrs. Regina IP actually asked about whether statistics have been compiled. If you have not compiled statistics, just say it. Just tell us, and then you will compile statistics. Because we need statistics to analyze the trends. In order for us to be competitive and match national trends, we need to have data, and we should not only cater to the English audience. Thank you. Secretary, as I said earlier, if necessary, departments can flexibly recruit those who do not match the requirements in biliteracy and trilingualism, but possess specific language knowledge or skills or experience, even foreign nationals. Mrs. Regina IP actually touched on this issue earlier. If necessary, if only foreign nationals have the relevant skills, they may be employed as well. As I said in my main reply, at the moment, we do not have the relevant statistics for the general civil service, but we do have subsidies available for those posted overseas to promote Hong Kong and promote investment and attract enterprises. Every year we have approximately 30 odd to 40 odd officers receiving subsidy or learning the foreign languages. They may receive subsidies. They are learning German, French, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, etc. Mr. Chen Chenying. With deepening international cooperation, we need to go beyond French, Portuguese, Arabic. We need to have personnel who know the minor languages. They may not even be able to take examinations to prove their skills. So when you engage these personnel who claim to possess the relevant language knowledge, how can you assess their skills and experience? Secretary, in fact, we have not engaged personnel who know languages like that at the moment. But if one possesses specific skills and experience, including language skills, we do ask the applicants to give proof themselves, including examinations only available in the relevant countries and regions. Thank you. Mr. Lee Kwok. The secretary talked about for some grades, say the administrative officers, executive officers, information officers, and trade officers. They may need to know some foreign languages. So those who possess knowledge in foreign languages may be at an advantage. So for those who are fluent in other languages, I think this should formally be made a merit in recruitment. I think if you only train officers when the time comes, it may be too late. So I think you should actually make these part of the recruitment requirements, giving the candidates an edge in the recruitment stage, so that we will have candidates that are already ready recruited. Thank you. Secretary. Well, when we recruit officers, especially of the AO grade, they will not only be posted to somewhere overseas. We therefore need candidates to be competent in the general skills as well. Foreign language skills are appreciated, but would not be the only factor for consideration. But let me clarify something. For those officers, even if they are not going to be posted overseas, they can still take foreign language courses. So we have 30 odd to 40 odd AO who are receiving subsidies in learning foreign languages. These officers who have learned foreign languages will form a pool for us to select candidates when we need to post someone overseas. Thank you. Mr. Holden Chow. We have French, Portuguese, and Spanish being the main languages needed in the different places because these are spoken by different populations. I actually heard some of the members of chambers of commerce say they need foreign nationals to actually speak Putonghua. So if we have people who can speak French, for example, would that be a merit that can outweigh someone's lack of Putonghua proficiency? Right now, we desperately need talents who speak other languages. So how can we better attract these talents, maybe even foreign talents, to come to Hong Kong to provide the assistance we need? secretary. If departments think talents possess skills that are not commonly found in Hong Kong, we allow departments to have the flexibility to waive certain Chinese and English language proficiency requirements, but they need to possess specific skills or expertise. I may not be able to give you examples in language skills. In this year, we needed to engage law draftsmen. They are to be serving the Department of Justice, but not many people specialize in law drafting. So with the DOJ's open recruitment, they had to recruit from overseas. So we have relaxed the requirement to allow employment of foreign nationals as well. And we have a foreign national recruited who had great experience in law drafting, and she worked in Hong Kong for 4 years. So we had this experience, and we can do that.
Government Bill. This council resumes the second reading debate on the banking